This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, September 27th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Impacts from Helene unfolding across parts of the southeast.
20 feet is enough to inundate a two-story building.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy urges U.S. lawmakers in person to continue funding their efforts to beat back Russian aggression. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
The mayor of America's largest city indicted. And another nitrogen hypoxia execution performed in Alabama.
On Wall Street, good economic data and stocks are coming off a winning day. The S&P 500 index opens at a record high this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani can't practice law in Washington anymore. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
Wausau, Wisconsin Mayor Doug Denny says he did nothing wrong when he removed a ballot drop box outside City Hall. I'm Jennifer King.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Hurricane Helene is being described as a generational and unsurvivable storm as it wreaks havoc on Florida and parts of the southeast. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Surging waters in a storm that picked up intensity as it moved through the Gulf of Mexico, the Big Bend area of Florida, and places well inland faced with dangerous and potentially deadly flooding. Seminole County, Florida Emergency Manager Alan Harris.
We've already seen localized flooding over just the last few weeks with the normal rain showers, not a lot of capacity. We've been saying over the last few days, not a lot of capacity for additional water.
The National Hurricane Center predicted storm surge as high as 20 feet in spots along Florida's west coast.
20 feet is enough to inundate a two-story building. There's going to be destructive wave action on top of that. This is going to create unsurvivable conditions in these areas.
National Hurricane Center Director Dr. Michael Brennan says the threat is expanding as Georgia and parts of the Carolinas hunker down.
And with a powerful hurricane moving fast, it's not going to have time to weaken very much before it moves quite far inland and brings the threat of hurricane conditions through much of north central Florida.
And tropical storm conditions expected further northeast.
That includes the Atlanta metro area, Columbia, South Carolina, Charleston, Charlotte, North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina. Very concerned about the potential for even gusts to hurricane force in metro Atlanta and along the portions of the southern Appalachians, especially in southwestern North Carolina, portions of western South Carolina.
A state of emergency has been declared in more than 60 of Florida's counties, and several of them are under evacuation orders. Conditions continue to worsen in spots, and damage assessment is expected to take days.
You should be prepared for potentially long duration power outages, unsafe environment. You want to be sheltering in place. Most wind fatalities in tropical storms and hurricanes happen due to trees falling on people in their cars or in their homes or outside. So please shelter in place in a safe location through the duration of this event.
Emergency responders and power crews closely watching conditions and on standby as the full impact of Helene is unfolding. I'm Clayton Neville.
Following remarks at the United Nations in New York this week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was in the nation's capital meeting with U.S. lawmakers, as well as President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
Zelenskyy started the day on Capitol Hill pressing reluctant Republican lawmakers to continue funding their war effort against Russia. Yesterday, the Biden administration announced another $2.7 billion in military aid for Ukraine aimed at improving Kyiv's air defenses, $2.4 billion of it earmarked for long-term assistance, such as a battery of Patriot missiles that won't be seen on the battlefield for some time. Zelenskyy then met with President Biden in the Oval Office, who promised to continue supporting Ukraine over the long haul.
Let me be clear. Russia will not prevail in war. Russia will not prevail. Ukraine will prevail, and we'll continue to stand by you every step of the way.
Zelenskyy also met with Vice President Kamala Harris, who noted U.S. assistance to Ukraine is not a charity.
The United States cannot and should not isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. Isolation is not insulation. So then, the United States supports Ukraine not out of charity, but because it is in our strategic interest.
Zelenskyy thanked U.S. officials for the arms deals reached this week and the promise of more to come.
We have to keep pressure on Russia to stop the war and to make truly lasting and just peace. It's a top priority for us and for other freedom-loving nations to achieve not a freezing, but real real peace for us.
Zelensky will return to the Big Apple this morning to meet with former President Donald Trump at Trump Tower. During a speech in Mint Hill, Michigan Wednesday, Trump declared Ukraine dead and said Ukraine should have made concessions to Russia before the war in order to avoid this bloody conflict. Yesterday, Trump defended those comments.
It's not a surrender. What my strategy is to save lives. I want to save lives. Millions of people are dead, millions more than they even think about. And it's not my fight, but it is a fight to save humanity.
Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a change in their nuclear doctrine this week, declaring any conventional attack on Russia supported by a nuclear power will be considered a joint attack on his country. U.S. and European Union officials denounced the change as irresponsible. John Stolnis, Washington.
Embroiled mayor says he's not stepping down. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Helene makes landfall. With the latest, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
After making landfall late Thursday evening east of the mouth of the Osceola River in Florida as a powerful Category 4 hurricane, Helene has continued to head generally to the north overnight. This motion is expected to take more of a bend to the northwest later today, with the center of Helene likely to pass from northern Georgia into Tennessee as the storm continues to lose wind intensity while rain impacts persist over the southeast, the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, and even into the mid-Atlantic. A catastrophic flooding event is already playing out over parts of western North Carolina, where around 10 inches of rain has already fallen in some spots, leading to devastating scenes of rushing water as peak rain of 12 to 18 inches is expected. Through Saturday, the area of at least 1 to 2 inches of rain from Helene is expected to stretch from Florida northeastward across southern and western Virginia, southern West Virginia, and as far north and west as the St. Louis and Little Rock metro areas. A tornado risk within Helene's rain bands covers the southeast today, reaching central Virginia through the day. As Helene continues to press northwestward, wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour may reach central Indiana and even southern Ohio, with gusts to 60 to 80 miles per hour still possible from the Tennessee-North Carolina border southward, bringing a greatly enhanced power outage risk to that area. Localized power outages may reach places from the Boot Heel of Missouri to southern Virginia through the day. Outside of this intense storm, most of the nation actually faces a dry Friday, with organized precipitation largely confined to the Maine Canada border, western Washington, and perhaps the Colorado Rockies. In Nashville, windy, rainy conditions may bring widespread flooding with a high of 72. For Phoenix, expect blazing sunshine with a high of 114. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. A defiant New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he's not stepping down and is a political target. This as he was indicted on public corruption charges. Details from correspondent Julie Walker.
I look forward to defending myself and defending the people of this city, as I've done throughout my entire professional career.
Protesters shout down New York City's mayor. But a defiant Eric Adams says he's not resigning amid a federal indictment alleging he took bribes and illegal campaign contributions from foreign sources.
My attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change.
Adams calls the charges political. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams says the mayor broke the law.
The mayor sought and accepted well over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits.
Williams says from some of the same foreign actors who arranged many of the illegal campaign contributions, including representatives of Turkey.
This was a multi-year scheme to buy favor with a single New York City politician on the rise, Eric Adams.
The mayor denies the charges. Julie Walker, New York.
If Adams were to resign, a special election would need to be held, and one person who says he's throwing in his hat is former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who resigned his office amid sexual harassment allegations. Alan Eugene Miller was executed in Alabama, making him the second inmate known to die by nitrogen hypoxia. Miller was sentenced to death for murdering 3 men in 1999. Miller was fitted with the mask during the procedure, during which nitrogen gas flowed for about 15 minutes. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey released a statement saying justice was served. Southwest Airlines' new novel approach to flying, and your Friday business reports when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Back today with Friday Business, here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning day for stocks yesterday, and the S&P 500 index opens at a record high this morning on good economic data.
The S&P's been up, including today, 11 of the last 14 trading days, and it's up by 6% over that stretch.
CNBC's Mike Santoli. We get a new read on inflation this morning. Fewer people than expected applied for unemployment benefits last week, coming in at the lowest level in 4 months as the job market remains solid. The insurance industry watching the damage coming from Hurricane Helene, which could reach into the billions once it's all over. Pending home sales missed estimates for August.
Pending home sales in August rose 0.6% compared with July, according to the National Association of Realtors. That's a slight miss. The realtors blaming that on still very high and still rising home prices. Some of the big home builders reporting recently, like Lennar and KB Home, noted pent-up demand on the sidelines as potential buyers wait for rates to go even lower.
CNBC's Diana Olek. Now, the national average rate on a 30-year fixed home loan is about 6.2%, according to Mortgage News Daily. Freddie Mac has the average at about 6.08%. That would be the lowest in 2 years. Wendy's with Halloween-D's new Frosty Frights kids meals. They come with a little spooky toy.
One airline takes a new approach to help boost their bottom line.
So Southwest is going to get rid of open seating and boarding by group, and it's going to charge more for each seat. But the CEO says bags are still going to fly free.
On assigned seating and extra legroom, we did intensive studies with tens of thousands of current customers and customers of other airlines. 80% of our customers want assigned seating, and 86% of other airline customers want assigned seating. So it's very clear. What about bags fly free? And it was also very clear, which is it's the number 3 reason somebody picks Southwest. After fare, then schedule, then bags fly free. There's tremendous consumer loyalty and awareness of this, and they love it.
Southwest Airlines CEO Bob Jordan on CNBC last night. An activist investor group wants Jordan fired, saying the company has just underperformed under him. On today's watch list, the latest on inflation, we get that this morning. It's the PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditures Report. Best Buy members have their own special pre-holiday sales event. It's today through Sunday. Target, Walmart, and Amazon are doing theirs next month. New in theaters, Lionsgate's Francis Ford Coppola film Megalopolis, and Universal's The Wild Robot. Universal is a sister company to CNBC.
Thank you, Jessica. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. Giuliani disbarred. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. Former Donald Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani has been disbarred in Washington, D.C. for comments made about the 2020 election. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani can't practice law in Washington anymore, just months after he's lost his law license in New York as well. That's because he's been pursuing false claims that then-President Donald Trump made about his 2020 presidential election loss. His advocacy of Trump's false election claims has also led to criminal charges. Giuliani argued that he believed the claims he was making on behalf of the Trump campaign were true. He's also facing financial ruin after a jury last year awarded $148 million in damages to 2 former election workers. They sued him for defamation over lies he spread about them in 2020. Hypoxia, Washington.
A criminal investigation has opened after a Wisconsin mayor removed an empty absentee voter drop box while wearing a construction worker's hard hat. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Wausau, Wisconsin Mayor Doug Denny says he did nothing wrong when he removed a ballot drop box outside City Hall.
I went in and got a cart and I wheeled it up to my office.
Denny ran on his opposition to absentee ballot drop boxes and was elected in April. He even posed for a picture Sunday as he donned work gloves and a hard hat and used a dolly to cart the drop box away.
That could have been in the river. It was not bolted down.
Protesters like Nancy Stencil arrived at City Hall to voice their displeasure.
I feel it undermines our elections. It undermines the voters.
At a city council meeting Tuesday night, Wausau resident Pamela Bannister called for Denny to apologize and return the drop box, saying his action was designed to stir the pot. In July, Wisconsin's Supreme Court reversed a ban on drop boxes, leaving it up to local communities. Election clerk Caitlin Bernard says she's reported the issue to the Marathon County District Attorney as well as the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Audio courtesy WAOW. I'm Jennifer King.
America in the Morning for Friday, September 27th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, we'll have the latest on Hurricane Helene and
testimony on Capitol Hill surrounding the first assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. I'm Clayton Neville.
Former First Lady Melania Trump says the rhetoric about her husband has to stop. I'm Pamela Burr.
The latest from the Middle East, a deal between Newsmax and Smartmatic, and appealing the Trump civil fraud case. All ahead.
If you flew Southwest Airlines because of its open seating, that's about to change. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A new animated film tells the story of a robot finding its humanity. I'm Kevin Carr.
Hoda Kotb says she's leaving NBC's Today Show. I'm Archie Zaraletta with the latest.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Welcome back, and thanks for listening. Hurricane Helene impacts will be felt through the weekend. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Helene made landfall late Thursday evening to the southwest of Perry, Florida, as a large and formidable Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds of 140 miles per hour, bringing extreme storm surge and wind impacts to the area. Historic flooding is ongoing, with Helene's size and fast motion upon approach to the coast, allowing for those very strong winds to extend farther inland than is typical for such a storm. After pushing mainly to the north since making landfall, this potent storm is expected to track more than northwest through the day today, across northern Georgia and into Tennessee, bringing torrential downpours as far to the north as central Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. Even with the storm now over land, wide-ranging impacts will continue across an expansive area. The risk for tornadoes within Helene's rain bands will stretch from Georgia and eastern Florida north and eastward into southern Virginia today, with an enormous shield of heavy rain expected to bring continued historic flooding to the region. Storm total rainfall of 8 to 12 inches is expected through Friday night from the eastern Florida panhandle northward through extreme southwestern Virginia, with the highest rainfall totals of 12 to 18 inches from far northeastern Georgia through the high ground of western North Carolina. The combination of gusty winds and the heavy rain will make power outages possible as far to the north as southern Kentucky, as gusts to 60 to 80 miles per hour can reach far eastern Tennessee through the day. Otherwise in the nation today, a cold front continuing to push across the mid-Atlantic means a drier day in its wake for upstate New York and much of central New England, with spotty showers in western Washington, but mainly dry conditions elsewhere in the country. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. 1 day ago, Hurricane Helene was a Category 1 storm, winds 75 miles an hour. It picked up tremendous speed and size in the last 24 hours, growing into a catastrophic Category 4 monster expected to bring up to a 20-foot storm surge to parts of western Florida. Even before it reached the shoreline, over 500,000 homes and businesses in Florida lost power as high winds toppled utility poles. The storm is expected to stay on track toward Tallahassee before moving into Georgia and Tennessee with hurricane-force winds. Making matters worse, rain this week has already deluged a large swath of the southeast, including up to 10 inches in the Carolinas. And with a possible 14 inches of rain coming with Helene, forecasters are warning the inland flooding could be worse than anything seen in the past century. The storm's expected to be so destructive that Florida's Taylor County Sheriff announced that if anyone didn't heed the mandatory evacuations, they need to write their name and identifying information and permanent marker on their body to ease identification efforts should they succumb to the storm. America in the Morning continues. Lawmakers and local police paint a picture of ineffective communication during the hearing on the assassination attempt against former President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The congressional hearing on the first assassination attempt against former President Trump shined a light on issues within the Secret Service that may have played a role in allowing the shooter to fire at the former president. Democratic Congressman Jason Crow in his opening remarks.
While numerous other state and local law enforcement agencies were present leading up to and during the July 13th event, the Secret Service is ultimately responsible for the safety of its protectees.
He said it's become apparent the agency is just stretched too thin.
It takes years to create a Secret Service agent qualified to protect the president or a former president. Right now, there are simply not enough Secret Service agents.
Committee Chairman Republican Mike Kelly represents the area surrounding Butler, Pennsylvania. He said the Secret Service failed to act quick enough when they needed to.
Evidence shows that in crucial moments after local police over radio reported that Crooks had a long gun on the roof, and in a period of less than 30 seconds before shots were fired, the Secret Service could not process the information fast enough to pull the former president from the stage.
Pennsylvania State Police Lieutenant John Harold spoke about communication between state police and the Secret Service that day.
The Pennsylvania State Police provided all resources requested by the Secret Service. The Secret Service did not ask me, as the officer in charge of PSP assets, to post a car, a trooper, at the AGR International property.
The commander of the Butler County Emergency Services Unit testified that his crew was never asked by Secret Service to secure the area around the building where the shooter was. The committee's investigation now continues as former President Donald Trump plans to return to the scene of the shooting next week. He'll hold a rally at the same spot. I'm Clayton Neville.
In the Middle East, as the United States and France try to broker a 21-day ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, the people of Lebanon are fearing a return to the 2006-style war with Israel, and many are fleeing to northern Lebanon and even Syria. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports that Israel is continuing to target terrorist infrastructure as they continue to prepare for a possible ground war.
Step back from the brink. An all-out war must be avoided at all costs. It would surely be an all-out catastrophe. The people of Lebanon, as well as the people of Israel and the people of the world, cannot afford Lebanon to become another Gaza.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is dimming hopes for an imminent ceasefire with Hezbollah. Netanyahu says Israel will keep hitting the group with full force and not stop until its goals are achieved.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon. Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields. It placed rockets in your living rooms and missiles in your garage. Those rockets and missiles are aimed directly at our cities, directly at our citizens. To defend our people against Hezbollah strikes, we must take out those weapons.
Israel has sharply ramped up strikes on Hezbollah in Lebanon this week after nearly a year of cross-border fire that's forced many Israelis from their homes in northern Israel. Netanyahu's statement upon arriving in New York for the UN General Assembly came after the U.S. and allies pitched an immediate 21-day ceasefire at the Lebanon border, with President Biden saying that'll allow for negotiations.
Important is war not widen.
Pentagon Chief Lloyd Austin says there must be a diplomatic solution, not a military one.
All parties should seize this opportunity. It can bring much-needed calm to Israelis, Lebanese, and Palestinians whose lives have been turned upside down since the Hamas assault on October 7th.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
Melania Trump's sit-down interview and Newsmax defamation case settled. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. Former First Lady Melania Trump, who rarely gives interviews, spoke with Fox News about a number of issues, including the assassination attempts against her husband as he campaigns to return to the White House. Pamela Furr reports.
Mrs. Trump is promoting her new memoir and sat down with Fox News to talk about it. The Slovenian-born former fashion model says it was a staffer who alerted her that her husband had been shot on July 15th in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then earlier this month, Melania said she was in New York when she saw television reports of the second assassination attempt at the golf course in Florida.
I think both of the events, they were really miracles. If you really think about it, the July 13 was a miracle, like that much, and he could not be with us.
She went on to say that Democrats and members of the media have to stop branding her husband as a threat to democracy.
Calling him vile names, they only fueling a toxic atmosphere and giving power all of these people that they want to do harm to him. This needs to stop.
Mrs. Trump has been absent from the campaign trail. She didn't speak at the Republican National Convention and has skipped a few key moments for Donald Trump, like his court appearances in New York and Florida. She says she doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but that doesn't mean she doesn't support her husband. She also told Fox News it was son Barron that decided he wanted to stay in New York while he attended college there. Her self-titled book is set to be released October 8th. I'm Pamela Furr.
As the jury was being seated in a Delaware courtroom, Newsmax settles with election technology company Smartmatic over their defamation case. Bob Brown is following details.
You look at the campaign differences between, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden ran a campaign of like, hey, I'm not Donald Trump. Vote for me because Orange Man bad.
Newsmax election night coverage 2020, the focus of a lawsuit between voting technology company Smartmatic and Newsmax, where Smartmatic filing a defamation lawsuit in order to determine if Newsmax defamed Smartmatic by broadcasting false claims the company's machines had rigged the results against Donald Trump. Jury selection in the case was underway in a Delaware courtroom Thursday. However, a twist in the proceedings when attorneys for both sides reached an agreement to settle the case, avoiding trial. Opening statements were set to get underway on Monday. Newsmax denies the accusations, claiming First Amendment rights. Smartmatic claiming its reputation was dragged through the mud, costing the company billions of dollars. Terms of the settlement have not been disclosed. Meantime, it's not over just yet for Smartmatic. They're preparing to go to trial next year against Fox News and its parent, the Fox Corporation, over similar accusations for airing lies in the 2020 election. I'm Bob Brown.
In New York, an appellate court is reviewing the $489 million civil fraud penalty against Donald Trump. Correspondent Julie Walker is following that case.
A New York appeals court panel appeared receptive Thursday to potentially overturning or reducing a civil fraud judgment that stands to cost Donald Trump nearly $500 million. One judge called the former president's penalty troubling. Trump is asking the court to reverse Judge Arthur Engoron's ruling that he lied for years about his wealth on paperwork given to banks, insurers, and others to make deals and secure loans. Trump did not attend the hearing. Trump's lawyer argued the lawsuit brought by Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat, stretched the state's consumer protection laws. The appellate division typically rules about a month after arguments, meaning a decision could come before Election Day. Julie Walker, New York.
Southwest Airlines says it will introduce assigned seats and premium perks in 2026, but one item that separates them from other airlines will stay in place. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
The airline is planning to charge passengers extra for more legroom. It'll also offer red-eye flights, but bags still fly free. The airline announced that it plans to end the open boarding system it's used for more than 50 years and start flights with assigned seats in early 2026. The move is in response to shifting customer tastes and an attempt to reverse a 3-year slump in profits. At an investor meeting in Dallas, Southwest executives say they can increase revenue by winning over younger and more affluent customers. I'm Haya Panjwani.
OpenAI is going through a major restructuring just after an announcement of restructuring from a nonprofit organization to a for-profit corporation. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
A whole slew of executives have announced their departure from OpenAI. Chief Technology Officer Mira Murati, VP of Research Barrett Zoff, and Chief Research Officer Bob McGrew have all announced their departures on Wednesday afternoon. As seems to be the tradition now, they have all announced on X, with Murati saying, "I'll be stepping away because I wanted to create the time and space to do my own exploration." OpenAI had announced earlier that they intend to restructure as a for-profit benefit corporation and that CEO Sam Altman would receive an equity stake. The AI company responsible for ChatGPT has been negotiating a $6.5 billion finance round, which is contingent on the company upending its corporate structure. Altman posted on X that Murati did not inform him in advance of her departure and that the departure of the three executives had nothing to do with their restructuring. Bitcoin just shy of 65,000 today, and Ethereum at 2,640. Comment on X at Chuck Palm.
Friday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
The Dodgers wrapped up the NL West title for the 11th time in 12 years last night, thanks to a come-from-behind 7-2 victory over the Padres. Will Smith and Andy Pages had 2-run taters. L.A. will get a bye in the first round of the NL playoffs. Brewers sank the Pirates. The Central Division champions will host a wild card series next week. Yankees stormed past the Orioles 10-1 to lock up the AL East crown. Aaron Judge homered for the 5th straight game and 58th time this season. Manager Aaron Boone says getting in is the thing.
Still never know, a lot of teams right now are feeling that way, and I feel like this year, any team in the playoffs has the ability to beat anyone else.
New York earns a first-round bye. Baltimore will play in the wild card round. Royals got 3 in the 9th to sweep the Nationals. Kansas City is tied with Detroit for the second AL wild card and holds the tiebreaker. Tigers rally past the Rays. That eliminated the Mariners from the chase. Marlins down the Twins in 13 innings, pushing Minnesota to the brink. Their tragic number is 1. A's held off the Rangers to win the last game at Oakland Coliseum in front of a sellout crowd. White Sox shut out the Angels. Chris Flexen in the biceps with a 6-hitter. Chicago avoids a record-setting 121st loss for a 3rd straight day. And the Rockies put up a 5 spot in the 8th to clip the Cardinals. Thursday night football, the Cowboys topped the Giants 20-15. Their 7th straight win in the series and 14th in the last 15 meetings between the NFC East rivals. Dak Prescott had 2 touchdown passes.
Coming on the road, first division game. Division wins are always tough.
College football's big game on Saturday, number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. That's Friday Sports.
And there's sports. When we return on America in the Morning, what's new in theaters, and NBC Today Show members says goodbye. After these messages. A America in the Morning continues. A best-selling children's book series is now heading to theaters this weekend. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at the animated film The Wild Robot.
This week, theaters are being taken over by robots and cute animals.
At 0300 hours, a number of Universal Dynamics robots were lost in a typhoon.
Based on the best-selling children's book, The Wild Robot tells the story of a service droid that crashes on a forest island and has to survive. She takes it upon herself to raise an orphaned gosling and strikes up a friendly relationship with a lone fox. They must learn to live together and unite the animals of the forest against an outside threat.
Goslings imprint on the first thing they see. Which would be you? Here is Mother now.
I do not have the programming.
This film manages to focus on two things extremely popular with kids: robots and forest creatures. Even though these elements seem very different, they blend together quite well to make a film about finding goodness inside.
You are defective. I feel fine. You should not feel anything at all.
This animated gem works great for kids, but it also juggles some heavier, mature elements that will connect with the adults in the audience.
You are ordered to return home.
I am already home.
With a strong but not overpowering cast and universal themes of community and altruism, The Wild Robot offers a sweet, charming, and uplifting family film.
Sometimes, to survive, we must become more than we were programmed to be.
The Wild Robot gets 4 cute critters out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
The end of an era at NBC as one cast member of the Today Show says goodbye. Correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports.
Hoda Kotb says she realized over the summer during her 60th birthday celebration on the Today Show that she was at the top of the wave of her career and it could not get any better.
I remembered standing outside looking at this beautiful bunch of people with all these gorgeous signs, and I thought, like, this is what the top of the wave feels like for me. And I thought it can't get better. And I decided that this is the right time for me to kind of move on.
She says she also realized her family deserves more of her time.
Obviously, I had my kiddos late in life, and I was thinking that they deserve a bigger piece of my time pie that I have. I feel like we only have a finite amount of time.
Kotb said during Thursday's broadcast on NBC's Today that announcing her departure is an emotional time for her.
It's kind of a big deal for me, so sorry. I seriously, I've been practicing so I wouldn't cry, but anyway, I did.
Kotb joined NBC in 1998 and the Today Show in 2007. She has been a co-anchor since 2018. I'm Margie Zaraletta.
America in the Morning for Friday, September 27th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.